Hello, I'm Riley Bowman, Director of Training with ConcealedCarry.com, and welcome to another edition of our monthly Shooter Ready Challenge series. This month we're going to be doing something a little bit different you probably haven't seen before, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. But first I want to talk about a couple of sponsors that make Shooter Ready Challenge possible. Number one is Laser App, or the LASR app from lasrapp.com, laserapp.com. We've been using the Laser app software for a number of years now. It's been featured in pretty much every one of our Shooter Ready Challenge videos to date. And specifically, we use and like the Laser X version of the app, which you can run on any internet connected mobile device, computer, whatever, just as long as you got internet and a browser. You log into your LASR X account and set it up within minutes. Now, we're actually not going to be using it or featuring it in today's episode. You'll see why here in a minute, but we do want to recognize them as our sponsor. Also, barrelblock.com, barrelblock with a K, is our sponsor. We use barrel blocks all the time. I will not be using it today either, but please check out barrel blocks. Go to barrelblock.com and pick one up today. You can do dry fire practice safely in your home with very, very minimal cost. Also, you can go to dryfireproshop.com, new sponsor of Shooter Ready Challenge, I think as of last month, which dryfireproshop.com is your one-stop shopping location for anything dry fire related, and we hope to be adding more products to that site soon. Dry Fire Pro Shop has products like the Laser Dot Trainer that you often see us use combined with the Laser X software in a lot of these Shooter Ready Challenge videos. Also, barrel blocks are available on Dry Fire Pro Shop as well if you want to purchase them there instead. And a number of other products, cert pistols, books, training videos, whatever. You can find a bunch of stuff on dryfireproshop.com. Thank you to our sponsors for making this possible. And also, if you sign up for a monthly newsletter, you'll be entered automatically for a chance to win free product from dryfireproshop.com. Now let's go ahead and get into this month's Shooter Ready Challenge. So as I mentioned, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing today's video with a small J-frame sized revolver. Not that you have to do this with a revolver, but if you happen to have a revolver, I would encourage you to use this as an opportunity to practice with it. In today's world, a lot of people think revolvers as being old and outdated and unneeded. Certainly, the new crop of very compact semi-automatic pistols that are still very capable pistols have made the desire for old guns like this less so. But I still find occasion to carry my revolver, and I still think that they are a viable defensive tool. And one of the things I really like about the revolvers, especially J-frames like this one here, is it's a very small package, and they're a lot more, we'll call it organically shaped. Meaning, whereas semi-automatics are very obvious as to what they are. If you see one print through clothing, for instance, I mean, it's pretty obvious what it is. They're L-shaped, they're square, they're blocky, they don't conceal as well or as easily. This, with its more curved nature to it, is a lot more organic with how it interfaces with the body. And so there are times when I'm looking for the absolutely most concealable option, this is my go-to right here. And I'm using it today with an Enigma and a holster here for the Smith & Wesson 442 that I have. Again, not that you have to do this month's challenge with a revolver, but if you have one, use this as an opportunity to practice with it. So revolvers, still very reliable. Yes, they're capacity limited, and that's usually what most people focus on when they talk about how, it's not as good an option for today's world. But I think as Daryl Bulkey, a respected trainer, refers to it as, it's not a gunfighting gun necessarily. It's a space-making gun. It's a get-out-of-trouble type gun, meaning it's got enough in it that I can fire off a few shots and try to immediately extract myself from the situation. So anyway, enough about that. Again, this is what we're going to work with today. What I would encourage you to do if you don't have a revolver, or if you don't care to practice with it, or maybe you just don't even have a holster for your revolver, practice with a smaller gun for this month's Shooter Ready Challenge. Do some of the same drills we're going to do here today, which are very simple, basic drills. and just practice with a smaller gun than what you normally carry. Or if you already typically carry a very small gun, then practice with a bigger gun this month. Let's just switch it up. Let's broaden our horizons and open up, our exposure to different things. I, over the years, have learned how to be very proficient with almost any gun that I put in my hands. And part of that is because I've actually practiced with a lot of different guns. Part of it's also just I've done a lot of dry fire, period, and a lot of shooting, period, which getting better skill-wise will help you be able to be proficient no matter what you use. But practicing on something different occasionally is not a bad idea. The one thing I really also like about practicing with, especially a double action only revolver like this one is the trigger press is a lot different and arguably more difficult than what I normally have. Now, I didn't show you that this was cleared already. I did want you to know, I just pressed the trigger there, that before filming, I checked this and also had my camera crew check as well to verify that this is in fact unloaded and clear. We can't put barrel block in this because of the rotating cylinder, and I don't have laser dot trainers for this either. I think that's something that would be really cool if we could offer at some point, but right now it's not an option. But anyway, we've got this here, it's clear. We're just gonna practice with something different. And again, I like the fact that the trigger press requires a bit more work. And that extra work is good practice for developing a good trigger press. So let's just do a couple of drills with this. The other thing I'm gonna note is that my draw stroke is a little bit different because the way my hand interfaces with this grip on the actual grab of the gun at the draw is very different than my semi-automatic. That again is a lot more of an L shape, is actually a little bit more conducive to me being able to grab this. So that's good practice as well, just familiarizing myself with something a little bit different, which again expands my total experience with running a gun. But what we're gonna do today is some stuff that's pretty simple. I'm gonna start with some basic, just draw and fire, one shot. So draw and fire one. So I'm gonna just pick any one of these targets, okay? And we're just going to draw and make sure I see a good sight picture, which I did, and it went right to the target, went right to the center of the alpha on that tuxedo there, and one good trigger press. Paying attention, close attention to any deviance in the sights as I pressed through that trigger, and it all looked really good. That was a good first start. We're gonna do this a couple more times. Let's go to maybe that target on the right. That also looked pretty good. Let's pick something smaller. Let's go to that upper middle one. Yeah, I liked that. Okay, let's go to this one here that has the lower portion of the target covered up. Took just a little bit extra sight picture on that because initially the sights were in the black and just needed to bring it up a touch to get a good center A-zone hit there. So a couple of draw and fire one shots. Okay, so that's one option. Now I'm gonna be true to the fact that I only got 5 shots. So I'm gonna go ahead and shoot multiple shots now on different targets. I'm gonna start on these lower ones that have different variations of hard cover, and we'll go through that. So, I'm just gonna shoot until I fire 5 times. All right, so let's give them like 2 each until I run out. And I'm out, obviously. Okay, that's fine. Started on the left and ended up on that target there. Let's start on the right this time. So you'll note that first, I was really excited on the first shot on this target here. Saw my sights were not where they needed to be, so that's, had to get back into the process of, wait, sights weren't there. I sent the shot a little bit too quick. Needed to clean that up a little bit. So there was a little bit extra pause there. Let's do that one again. Good. it's a good exercise, even though we're not using the LaserX software today, to be paying attention to where sights are on these targets each time I'm pressing that trigger. And what that starts to build is the basis of shot calling, paying close attention to not only the alignment of the sights, but also where on the target those are pointing. So if I was calling shots, it would have been here and here, here and here, and that last one was within the A zone, but would have been very close to that left edge. Still acceptable. Okay, so just paying attention, and in my mind sort of recording this visual information of that's where that one would have gone, that's where that one would have gone, that's where that one would have gone, and so on and so forth. Okay, we always want to be reinforcing good habits, and shot calling is a good habit. Let's go ahead and do these upper targets now. So we got some, the bottom had some throttle control involved, but they were all relatively, equal as far as, honestly, the hardest one here is this guy because it's such a reduced target area if I'm trying to keep everything in this spot here. This isn't too difficult. This, I just have to make sure I'm not too far left or right, and this one's not too difficult either. But let's go to the top where we have simulated target distance, and I'm standing at 7 feet from these targets. That's a 1/3 scale target, so that's the same equivalent of like 7 yards for that USPSA size target. That next one there is more like if that same target was at 14 or 15 yards, and that one there is kind of like if it was at 20 to 23 yards, somewhere in that ballpark. And so I'm going to work those a couple different ways and get some throttle control practice here. And note the kind of different levels of care that I've got to start exercising on the trigger as I'm going to a harder and harder target. In fact, to emphasize that even more, I'm going to go ahead and fire just one shot on this close one and then fire 2 on each of the other 2 targets. See how that works? It's good practice. I told you we're really working that trigger finger today. This is excellent practice. I'm going to start on the left and go to the right this time. You can see how I'm picking up the pace. Let's go ahead and go 1 and then 2, 2. So there you go. And then finally, I'm going to pretend that I have infinite ammo, and I'm going to shoot 2 shots on all the targets I have in front of me, just for the sake and the practice of all those trigger presses, which is good work, and then also different variety of target presentations, target sizes, and target difficulties. Try to mix it up a little bit. See how that goes? Let's do one more iteration of that. So I had kind of like a trigger freeze on this guy up here, and I ended up sending 3 at it, and that's fine. So, practicing with something different, in this case, very different from what I normally carry and normally shoot, and much smaller, and a very different feel of grip, very different trigger. These are not bad things to expose ourselves to and just broaden or deepen our experience and exposure to different guns. I'm not saying that I necessarily advocate for, switching up the gun that I carry on a day-to-day or even a week-to-week basis, but there's a time and place where I find that this is the best choice for the particular context I'm going to find myself in. And I certainly don't want to forget to do dry fire practice with even a tool that only gets used once or twice a month. So there you go. That's this month's Shooter Rate Challenge. Hope this is helpful for you, maybe gives you some ideas. At the very least, this is intended to be an inspiration to you as far as how to conduct yourself in your own dry fire training. Please, again, support our sponsors, laserapp.com, barrelblock.com, and dryfireproshop.com. Appreciate you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.